Scenario 3 Necromancers. Do-goodle wizards have taken the Necromancer's castle. You must retake it to achieve victory. Remember that while you start with a powerful army, you have no castle. You must take one within 7 days or lose this battle. Hint, the nearest castle is to the southeast. From the 3 rewards presented, I choose the gold. A short-term benefit I will take advantage of as soon as the first castle falls into my grasp. The wizards who have captured the Necromancer's town have wasted no time in building defenses designed to stop you, and the last castle has just been completed. Fortunately, only a captain of the guard and a small garrison are currently present. If you hurry, you should be able to capture the castle before they have a chance to reinforce it. It's just occurred to me, parts of these Let's Plays could make excellent SMR videos. Perhaps for some people they already do. But enough with the silliness. You're probably wondering why on earth I have chosen this mission over the one every single comment suggests that I do. I don't have a comforting answer. As soon as I heard the Necromancers were in need of help, I thought to myself, okay, after this mission I will go and save the Necromancers. End of justification. I'll probably play the other mission at some point, and I do know that things are about to get difficult because of what I have chosen. But as you will see during this mission, I think I finally got this game. Getting through this mission was incredibly easy for me. Now, onto the mission itself, and the usual bases I tend to cover. Our hero is Falagal, the warlock, and the castle we need to besiege shortly is called Timberhill. While I am in a bit of a hurry to get to Timberhill, I also realized that I am unlikely to explore this corner of the map later on, so I need to take care of as much as I can before inevitably rushing to conquer the castle and survey the lands beyond. As you can see, our first battle is against a small group of bandits, a trivial encounter of little consequence. I will gain a tiny bit of experience while losing no units. More importantly, I will be able to proceed on my way towards the castle. I am of course willing to get into some fights before that. Hell, the easier the better, so I wasn't exactly upset that the rogues were in my way. I guess it's a tenuous balance between the possible risk and offer reward. If the risk is too high, I will not commit. If the payoff is too low, I will neither. The problem is they usually go hand in hand. As for the gazebo, I got luck instead of navigation. I'm not a huge fan of the latter, even though naval journeys can take a long time without it. I guess I prevent that from ever mattering by simply staying on land unless I absolutely need to do otherwise. I really want that sack of gold, by the way, but the elementals scare me off. In retrospect, there wasn't all that many of them. They count as still 3 or 4, I think, so I could have won that encounter. But I wasn't willing to accept the losses that soon, not without taking the castle first. As such, I've decided to flag the sawmill and head south afterwards. I realize now that I have left behind a treasure chest, a set of mission that I cannot explain other than as inattentiveness. Have you noticed it yourselves? It was right next to the one I picked up at the very beginning. Of course, more immediately speaking, I am currently fighting the rogues guarding the Mace of Dominion. The castle of Timberhill is very close now. As I can't reach it today anyway, I decide to deviate a bit and visit the nearby gazebo. Eagle Eye or expert scouting? Not exactly the most thrilling of choices, but I have had to make it regardless. Not tempting fate any further, I order Falagal to besiege the castle presently. We need to establish our foothold in these lands, and this shall be our initial base of operations. Even though the defending forces don't seem like much, they can still put a sizable dent in my centaur numbers. Centaurs are the only ranged unit a warlock has, so such a course of action would most certainly put me in a bad mood in ordinary circumstances. We are however currently capturing the Castle of the Wizard, a castle which, as you might know, provides 3 different ranged units. Since our initial forces are not something we can easily replenish, the centaur numbers matter very little in the grand scheme of things, as they shall become obsolete as soon as I find a suitable replacement. The castle is now under my control. Let's survey it for any clues on what we should do next. The ivory tower is how I can get mages. The requirements include the foundry, which is what I shall erect this turn, considering the fact that a statue is already present. With not much left to do and nothing besides a handful of sluggish golems to recruit, I immediately glance at the spell list of the Mage Guild and leave shortly afterwards. Falagal has learned Slow, Stone Skin and Curse today. Our next order of business is to secure the area. The nearby zombies pose a threat and don't seem to be under the influence of our corpse-loving friends, so let's dispatch these feral beasts and let them decompose in stillness. I briefly glanced at the spellbook and noticed that my choices are limited. I can't curse the zombies, they are slow enough as it is, and there is nothing for me to cure quite yet. As such, I was left with Stone Skin as the only available choice. Then again, if only a single thing is available, should it still be considered a choice? The zombies aren't the most scary of opponents. In the unupgraded version, they are slow, deal little damage and get easily dispatched. The goblins might be a little bit more of a challenge in spite of being merely tier 1. They flee, but I will not show them mercy. I choose to protect the gargoyles, but soon realize that I don't need to attack with them straight away. I'm better off striking from afar than only attacking the enemies head-on when I know it to be safe. When is that, you might ask? That's easy. When I can kill them in a single attack away from other groups, thus avoiding taking damage, or at least when I know that the counter-attack won't kill even a single unit I command. Let's get our just rewards for dispatching the green-skinned savages. Lightning Bolt, a lovely spell to have, especially this early on. As much as I like being fancy, direct damage is something I adore. Speaking of things I adore, the Ivory Tower, built on day 7, will provide me with some mages immediately and a fresh batch as the new week dawns. I don't have to recruit them right away, but it's nice to have their numbers growing as early as possible. Oh, to hell with diplomacy, give me mana regeneration on the go. It'll be quite useful after I cast all these lightning bolts. Hello there, Stone Idol. How about a kiss for luck? Back at Timberhill, I continue my army building efforts. Having 4 mages now can be worth having to upgrade them later. I also get the Halflings, my second ranged unit from here. Cheap and plentiful ranged units always appeal to me, so I erect the orchard to keep my short slingshotters well nourished. Even more chests to the east, lovely. I get pathfinding over diplomacy. I prefer being able to negotiate the rough terrain over the creatures that dwell upon it. Just as you always want to erect a statue on the first day, you always want to have the well in the first week, if possible. Creature dwellings supersede it, since the well can't boost their output without them being present. Regardless, building the well during the second week tends to feel painfully late, even if it actually is the earliest you can be reasonably expected to have it. Aside from the well, constrained by available choices, I get the early marketplace. It can seem frivolous, but that's because a marketplace is needed once resources are insufficient and need to be traded, while it has to be built while the resources are readily available. I chose pathfinding over luck, questionable but not outright unwise. The sprites wish to join me. My army could use a boost, and sprites are fast and furious creatures that prevent counterattacks. Alongside skeletons, they can be considered the best tier 1 unit in the game. Even so, I plan on eventually having only wizard creatures in my army, and since this is Heroes 2 and you only get 5 slots but 6 tiers, there's not much room for anything more than temporary forces meant to augment my army until I can get my hands on, for instance, titans. The bows and golems I leave unrecruited. I will eventually get one of these units integrated into my forces, but spending money on them now seems imprudent. The second group of sprites doesn't elect to join me. Yes, I know, diplomacy. With diplomacy, I would have probably gotten a chance to recruit the wing-flapping damsels. As lovely as this can sound to you, let me remind you of one simple mechanic that ruins this idyllic plot: morale. I get a bonus point for having creatures from a single castle, negative from having them come from more than 2. Consider the current situation: 3 creatures from the Warlock's castle, mages from the wizards, sprites on top of that. Don't even think about suggesting that I ditch the Warlock units. There's more of them, and they're worth a lot more than the damn sprites. Luck over ballistics should be a pretty obvious decision on my part. No sieges in short-term perspective, unlike lots of additional experience coming from battles on open ground, while having luck on my side can be quite helpful. As far as I remember, a stroke of luck means dealing twice the regular damage. That's obviously what lies on our side of the rainbow. As I was about to attack the pikemen, something caught my eye. The white dot next to the windmill. What is that? Why isn't it mine yet? Doesn't make sense. Without a definitive answer, I proceed with the attack. Here's my motley crew of mythical creatures. Then again, that's an accurate description of most armies in this game. Taste the rainbow! Okay, I've expected a bit more damage. Alright, plan B. Unleash the... No leashes. Release the... No, they're not being held. Send in the griffins. What I'm trying to say is all the units except the mages are expendable. As such, in a moment of utter stupidity, instead of completely blocking the pikemen by placing their gargoyles to the left, I attack them from behind, leaving a path towards the mages open. In my defense, it still worked. I keep juggling tenses a lot, but keep in mind that I'm torn between this happening now and a long time ago. In a sense, I am fighting the pikemen while having already fought them. It's not without reason that when naming 3 powers, St. Augustine mentioned will, understanding, and memory. Our ability to reach into the past is truly inspiring. Either way, this fight is almost over. The final blow gets dealt by my beloved mages. Pathfinding or diplomacy? Pathfinding, obviously. While searching through the rubble of a caved-in mine, you free a group of trapped dwarves. Grateful, the leader gives you a golden bracelet. But I thought we were fighting the dwarves. What the hell, Falagal? I guess our hero is not heartless. Speaking of heroes, I need a hero. He's gotta be sure, he's gotta be soon. Being larger than life is optional. He's got to collect the resources and ferry the reinforcements. Barak, I choose you. Now let's finally visit the goddamn windmill. And travel east to deliver the reinforcements. Back at Timber Hill, we discovered that the ultimate artifact is the Golden Goose. For those of you who care, the Golden Goose gives 10,000 pieces of gold per turn. Impressive to say the least. But in most circumstances, if you can get the ultimate artifact, you don't really need it anymore since you all but won. It's an icing on the cake, nothing more. Then again, perhaps there can be circumstances where this can turn the tide. In multiplayer or on maps where the odds are so much against you that you need every edge you can get. Either way, I've got rid of the sprites, which has made everyone happier, including the sprites. Palagal's current army composition is pretty eccentric. Tier 5 mages, Tier 1 halflings from the wizard, Tier 1 through 3 from the warlock's castle, namely centaurs, gargoyles and griffins. For the purpose of clearing the area from weak, lone, wandering monsters, this is quite enough. I've considered sending Barak to Timberhill for some reinforcements, but then I've realized that by the time he gets a decent force to deliver, Falagal is either going to be so far away that Barak will never catch up in time, or will actually be on his way back, able to pick up the forces personally. In either case, going back seems pointless. Let's just follow Falagal along, picking up whatever he leaves behind, helping him out as much as possible. More zombies blocking our path. I honestly can't tell why I've chosen to cast the lightning bolt. It's excessive. I guess that mysticism provides enough of a boost to my mana regeneration that it simply doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want. Clearing up this mess is annoying, but that's what happens when you slaughter the local necromancers. What you leave behind are hordes of feral undead. Without a single will to bind them, control them, they scatter around and stalk the local populace. Good job, mages! It was certainly thoughtful of you to leave all of this behind. The crystal mine is mine, which is yet another step on my slow way towards getting archmages. Let me explain it to you, even if you know perfectly well what I have in mind. To get the Archmages, I need to upgrade the Ivory Tower. To be able to do so, I need to build the library. To achieve that, I need 5 units of each resource. Trading seems like an obvious solution, but that is prohibitively expensive. I need to find another way. And the simplest that comes to mind is to explore the area, which I was going to do anyway, and pick up every pile, flag every mine. Here's a difficult decision: more money each turn or more morale in every battle. Estates would speed things up on the recruiting front, allowing me to get a bigger army faster. Leadership would nullify the consequences of having units from different castles and further boost the chances of getting an extra turn once I'm finally left with units from a single faction. It wasn't easy, it wasn't obvious, but I made my mind. Now let us face the druids, barring our way south. My approach is something you should be familiar with by now. I kill one group with a spell, block the second and third with a flying unit, and this is where things go to hell. The druids take their turns before the griffins, preventing me from fully blocking and taking down one of my mages. There wasn't really anything I could have done to prevent this from happening, but it still is somewhat upsetting. My mages are very precious. Makes you think, doesn't it? These are the rebels that are working against the Mages Guild forces under Roland. My mages are traitors, all of them. The druids are out of the picture, but now we are faced with ferocious wolves. These wild beasts obviously cannot shoot, yet their great speed and the fact that they attack twice make them formidable opponents. That was a mistake. One tiny move that will come back to bite me. The wolves are fast, I cannot take all of them down in a single round. I should have attacked with the gargoyles to lower the number of one of the stacks. The gargoyles are expendable after all, aren't they? The 2 wolves will go down to the griffins, another stack will get dispatched by the halflings, and then the second turn will begin. I've been working so diligently on increasing my halfling numbers just to throw many of them away in a moment of recklessness. Don't worry, this is not getting worse. From here on, there's only some cleaning up left to do. 26 halflings is a painful loss to incur. Back north, Barak is taking care of all the loose ends. A campfire here, some gems there. A treasure chest? Why, of course, hidden behind the trees is a chest. A precious experience-granting object that I have yet again missed. Forget it, I'm not turning around now. I might get it on my way back. That's a useless spell, considering I have no undead troops. A blacksmith worker in a foundry offers to convert all pikemen and swords and weapons brought to him from iron to steel. He says he knows the process that will convert iron guns to steel guns. Unfortunately, you have none of these troops in your army, so he can't help you. This is an endless stream of disappointments, isn't it? Nah, don't worry. Take a look at these Medusa guards. They are obviously blocking us, not only from the watchtower, but also from whatever lies beyond the mountain pass. Oh, gems are good, gems are great. I'll need plenty of them to get my titans in the distant future. Let me make this clear in advance, I am not attacking the Medusas right now. I'm going to clean up here, head southwest, secure the area along the mountains, get more troops, and then move out. Boy, these goblins sure picked the wrong place to set up camp. And the wrong time to make a stand. Had they just ran away, I wouldn't have bothered to chase after them. No, they chose to fight. And to suffer the fate of those who oppose me. I need to replenish my halfling numbers. Hell, I could use some more units, but can't afford to go back to the castle. What is there for me to do? Yes, I will therefore send Barak to get the reinforcements and then meet up with Falagal somewhere halfway through his path along the mountains. You've seen this countless times, you're going to see it yet another. The orcs are standing between me and an artifact I fancy obtaining. The course of actions should seem familiar. Blocking with flyers, picking off stray stacks with ranged units, using the lightning bolt to support the efforts of my troops. You know the drill. Leadership over Eagle Eye any day. The rogues leap out of the brush? Seriously? These guys need better threat assessment skills. Look at the poor bastards dying like flies. How can you even be in organized crime without the elementary ability to pick the right fights? Temporarily, that's how. Maybe there were some sort of bandit interns, you know, just trying to get the basics down, bringing older, more experienced bandits coffee and all that. Time to get back to Timber Hill and see what I can afford to get. Halflings and mages seem like the obvious choice. I can't erect anything useful due to lack of resources. There is light on the horizon, however. To get the library, I only need some mercury, and mercury is what I get from the alchemist, whose lab I am about to visit. Wait a minute. This just occurred to me. The alchemist is the one providing me with obscene amounts of mercury each week. That guy has to be insane by now. Contact with mercury isn't really conducive to good mental health, you know. To clear the path between Barak and Falagal, I'll attack the zombies. Good thing the zombies in the Heroes of Might and Magic universe don't work like they do in Romero movies. Apart from the movement speed, of course. On the other hand, the ghosts do in Price of Loyalty. Boy, can they get out of hand. As for this fight, it's nearly over, even though it has just started. Amazing, isn't it? Alright, back to the adventure map. In case you have forgotten, here's once again the skinny on the plan. Reinforcements, Mercury, Library, Ivory Tower upgrade, Archmages. I've got the units now. The only thing standing between me and my lovely Archmages are a bunch of skeletons and time. Both are fearless, both will bend to my will. The terrain for this fight is amazing. But it doesn't matter in the slightest since the odds are overwhelmingly in my favor. Soon enough only piles of bones will lie here as a reminder of this one-sided battle. I'll leave flagging the mine to Barak. Well, well, look who we have here, Calendra. Her army is pitiful. But I must stay on my guard regardless. I can't let my mines, much less my castle, fall into the enemy hands. Everything has been going extremely smoothly so far. I'll let you in on a little secret. There is one tiny moment in this playthrough when things get a little out of hand, but other than that, it's smooth sailing. I don't know if that's good or bad. It is pleasant to watch solid, successful play. There is a sense of elegance in that. On the other hand, close matches tend to be more exciting. If you're watching me play a turn-based strategy, however, I guess you're not necessarily looking for an adrenaline rush. Quite frankly, I still have not figured out what you are looking for. I'm just doing stuff and hoping for the best. Come to think of it, that's a reasonable attitude towards life in general. Our starting area is nearly entirely clear. There is a single mine left to flag on this side of the mountains. I will attack the orcs in order to gain control over it. This spell is an easy one. One stack goes down to the spell. 2 get blocked by gargoyles. The 4th one falls to the archmages. As slow as they are, the griffins take care of the final one before the enemy units even get their turn. Baroque will take care of the mine. Falagal gets sent to the gazebo. Estates or mysticism? A very tough choice, but I need to be able to cast my spells frequently. I go for the latter. To the north, await us the Archmagi. An amazing artifact lies beyond the pass they guard. The red boots shall be mine tomorrow. Out of the way, Archmagi. Falagal needs a new pair of shoes. Let's start as I usually do by casting a lightning bolt. Wow, all 4 of them went down in a spectacular fashion. This is why spell power is amazing. It also vindicates my choice of getting mysticism over estates. If this is the sort of power I wield, it is only natural for me to want to be able to use it frequently, preferably in every battle. Damn it! Man down! Of all the units, my magi are particularly precious. Regardless, it is still a trade I am willing to take. The boots will literally take me places. Just 2 magi left. Let's not strain the poor gargoyles needlessly. There we go. A leprechaun wants to sell the boots. It's a deal. My next steps should be pretty evident. I'm going to head north to fight the balls and the ball men known as orcs. The cursor tells me that this will be a long journey, which I overlook at first. I level Baroque up, quite needlessly since he is hardly battle ready, but it doesn't hurt to be prepared. You know how in some levels most of the crucial stuff actually gets done by the secondary hero with a makeshift army from some secondary castle? It's best to be prepared for such an eventuality. I finally noticed that my pathing takes me around the measly Centaur Falls. Let's solve this problem. As you know, Centaurs are tier 1 creatures from the Warlock's castle. They are the only Warlock unit that shoots, but that's about all there is to them. My army, far from plentiful or impressive, has nevertheless made short work of them. Some of you, once with a keen eye for detail, could have noticed that after this last battle I am left with 2 points of mana to my name. Not anymore, I'm not. Mysticism helped, of course. Don't be fooled by me refilling my reserves. It would have taken me a lot shorter to drain all the mana without mysticism to help me regain it on the go. In other news, my resources are finally sufficient to build the library. The balls are our next target in securing the northwestern corner, which is what I've been doing for the past half an hour. That's right, squeal like your domesticated counterparts. Did you know that wild boars were actually part of the taxonomic group Pachyderm, meaning tough-skinned in Greek? They shared the spot with mammoths and elephants until someone figured out that while superficially informative, the group made no sense from a genetic standpoint. This reminds me of an old chestnut from Foucault, which I shall thus quote. This passage quotes a certain Chinese encyclopedia in which it is written that animals are divided into A. belonging to the emperor, B. embalmed, C. tame, D. suckling pigs, E. sirens, F. fabulous, G. stray dogs, H. included in the current classification, I. frenzied, J. innumerable, K. drawn with a very fine camel hair brush, L, etc., M having just broken the water pitcher, N that from a long way off look like flies. In the wonderment of this taxonomy, the thing we apprehend in one great leap, the thing that by means of fable is demonstrated as the exotic charm of another system of thought, is the limitation of our own, the stark impossibility of thinking that. Coming back to our heroic meandering, we set a centaur free and it gives us a ring. The ring increases our spell power by 2, making our lightning bolt even more deadly. I know of course that you expect me to mention the Cloud Castle, a breakthrough move that allows me to... do what exactly? The Cloud Castle gives you giants, which cost a fortune to upgrade into titans. Without the upgrade to the Cloud Castle, the building is mostly a giant expensive paperweight. No pun intended. The only good thing coming out of this is that the numbers will continue to grow, will accumulate over time, while I gather the resources necessary for the upgrade. Speaking of which, I have just upgraded the Ivory Tower. Regular Magi are great, Arc Magi are even better. Well, duh, that's why it's called an upgrade. The idea is so compelling, so irresistible, that Falagar strays from his path just to upgrade all of his Magi. I would love to slowly phase out all of my warlock creatures. Emphasis on phase out, not slowly. As one step that should bring me closer to this end, I trade resources away for gold. Bet you haven't seen that in a while. And I recruit rocks to serve instead of griffins. It's pretty disheartening to see all these creatures left unrecruited, but the wizard's castle is pretty expensive in its maintenance. I take a glance to see what I need and it turns out to be 20 gems and not much else. As such, there shouldn't be much harm in me getting rid of even more resources in favor of getting more creatures. Perhaps more focus should have been put on upgrading the Mage Guild, but with Lightning Bolt already in my hands, there are very few spells I would really make use of. What else is there? True Resurrection? I can live without it. The orcs scatter, and the area is seemingly clear. But that white dot is driving me crazy! What is that? It's not the treasure chest I've missed, is it? If that's not it, what is it? I spot the artifact that I have neglected to pick up for an obscene amount of time. It's the artifact that gives gold. This is the last place I'm visiting up here, far to the north. I need the artifact. I need the gold it can endow me with. The air elementals are simply in the way. What is the density of an air elemental anyway? Why are they walking? They don't seem to be floating, so I guess they're denser, heavier than air. This suggests, however, that they are more dense than what they are meant to embody, represent, be the pinnacle of. The vaguely humanoid-shaped piles of mist. Nothing more. Look! Look! They disappeared into thin air! A little leprechaun dances gleefully around the magic sack. Seeing you approach, he stops in mid-stride. The little man screams and stamps his foot ferociously, vanishing into thin air. Remembering the old Leprechaun saying finders keepers, you grab the sack and leave. You have to admit that Leprechaun sack's appeal is great. I'm done. Our corner of the map is secure. Let's check out Timber Hill. I have 2 gems, not enough to afford anything. Killing a single giant is out of the question. Pointless. Both balls and golems are going to have to stay. I can't afford enough of them to justify a switch. What I need to get is everything else. All the Alchmagi, Halflings and rocks. It's done! Now for the final transfer before heading south. Falagar gets his units and hands the sack over to Barak. While we know well we are going the exact path is still up in the air. For whatever reason I can't stop using L metaphors, what the hell? Must be some residual effect of fighting the damn elementals, makes me such an L-head. Alright, what are the possible... water elementals, brilliant. The westernmost path has its advantages, it will lead me directly to Kalindra, preventing her from sneaking into our territory after me breaking through elsewhere, causing me to backtrack to mount a defense. Leaving Barak behind would be pointless, since he will never catch up with the reinforcements, can't and should not have to defend anything, and he will likely be more safe at Falagar's side than being marooned in this grassy verdure. Besides, he can pick stuff up and flag mines, so he might as well tag along. Giant growth +5, sounds like Magic the Gathering all over again. Alright, it's time to face Team Liquid. Water elementals, for some inscrutable reason, are in our way. Maybe this is like Warcraft 3 and the elementals were summoned by the wizards explicitly to impede our progress. Then again, it might just as well be the garden variety water elementals that roam this land out of their own volition, if any. They are slow, ugly, ineffective, they can't shoot, and there's not even all that many of them. They suck. Now they are gone, finally down the drain. I took ballistics over the states because I need to conquer another castle before spending any money. In hindsight, what's the point? I have 3 units that shoot, 2 units that fly, the walls mean nothing to me. The sieges should also be over far ahead of the catapult taking down the towers. I'll keep this in mind for future reference. Now I should focus on getting rid of Mandagol and taking over Fenton. Another pesky wizard is poised to strike to the east of our position, but that's not going to stop me. I take over the gem mine, head south with Barak. First things first, let's get Fenton under our banner. I can worry about the Mandagol afterwards. Look at the castle garrison, look at how pathetically weak it is. For some added irony, I strike the giants down with a lightning bolt. As for the golems, there is no quick solution, you just have to keep pounding them until they fall apart. Words to live by. I lost a single Archmage and a single rock. Does this really matter? I think the trade is a pretty decent one. For these units, I get an additional castle under my control. Apparently, the castle of Fenton has pretty much all I could hope for, aside from upgrades to the final 2 creature dwellings and the library, which enables one of them. All I can get right now are a few halflings, but I will not take my chances. Movement points are precious, and I need to catch Mandigal today before he kills Barak and gets away, possibly going north. Take a look at our armies, the differences are not all that pronounced. I do the smart thing and get rid of the enemy Magi immediately. He does the second best thing and disables my Archmagi. What exactly do I do with my 28 Centaurs? They take quite a bit of space but are almost useless. They take down 2 rocks, look at what happens next. The rocks take down 1/3 of my halflings. Not only that, they block them, preventing any further damage. The counterattack kills 1 rock. I don't realize that rocks have already used up the counterattack in the previous turn, so I do not stab them with the halflings. Also do not move away, since they will simply catch up in the next turn. Meanwhile, the ground shudders as the giants make their way towards my troops. I block with the gargoyles. But there's only 8 of them. The giants can walk around, or they can simply kill them. What do I target? The giants are a huge threat, the rocks are blocking my precious halflings. That's not the right mindset. I need my Archmagi. I cast Cure on them to bring them back into action. My centaurs go down after killing a single ball. The Archmagi target the rocks because they know what's coming. Exactly. Okay, 5 rocks left now, but the giants are almost here and the balls are still alive. The gargoyles are dead. The gargoyles are dead. The rocks are blind, the halflings and the mage are blocked. I need to unblock my shooters to start dealing damage to the giants. I take the rocks down with a lightning bolt and start firing away with them with the Archmagi. Oh, that's just perfect. At least the balls attack the rocks, unblinding them. On the other hand, almost all of my halflings are dead and the ones left standing are not long for this world. Rest in peace, halflings. Okay, now all of my units are blind. To add insult to injury, the dwarves have almost reached him. Alright, never mind, they've decided to walk around. Meanwhile, the blindness wears off from the Archmagi. Let's make this count. A lightning bolt and a single burst of magic take down the giants. Back to being blind. Now the rocks are free to act. Let's simply continue to attack the balls. The rocks get hit by a lightning bolt and Mandigal flees, leaving me with a severely crippled force stranded in the middle of hostile territory. This is the moment I have mentioned as the only shaky part. This is the turning point of this scenario. I need to get my heroes to safety and rebuild my forces. There's no way I can break through to the north, so I need to rely on Fenton. The problem is there aren't really any units available here, only 4 useless giants. Kalindra is closing in. I'd rather face her inside the castle. Barak, in the meantime, can flag the nearby mines. I assimilate the halflings I have recruited earlier, all 18 of them. I consider recruiting the giants, but I can't even afford all of them. To get the library and bring things up to speed here, I need more gems. Gems come from gem mines, and the only gem mine around is the one Kalindra flagged the previous turn. I get the marketplace instead. The more of them I own, the better deals I get. In earnest, Kalindra's forces aren't all that scary. I would almost certainly win a head-on encounter, I simply don't feel the need to initiate one just yet. I need a conduit between Timberhill and Fenton, and Rathmont will be the one to take care of that. Back here, I have a week's worth of recruits. Not a spectacular force, but one that would constitute a significant boost at this point. I should focus my efforts on getting the Titans soon, even though the resources necessary for both the dwelling upgrade and recruitment are exorbitant. I also have places to visit, the ones that provide weekly bonuses. Since I finally have a hero nearby, I can actually take care of this. Alright, Kalindra is boldly going where no enemy hero has gone before. I need to stop her. Never mind my puny forces. I can handle this. I have faith in Falagard. As for my remaining heroes, They continue carrying out the orders, flagging mines, visiting buildings. Calendra made a turn to the left, going into a dead end and ensuring that I will catch up to her next turn. I want to be able to get my reinforcements before the fight, but that's of little significance. Impatience got to me, and I've decided to forego the tenuous process of retaking the gem mine, patiently waiting for the resources to accumulate over nearly a month. I have also missed the trading depot near the mountain pass. Either way, I have plenty of gems now. Nearly enough. And once I'm done with Calendra and retake the mine, I will promptly get my first titans. Alright, let's start things off with a blast. A lightning blast that has just taken down the only shooter of my opponent. I'll let the single rock live to avoid overkill, and instead take all the balls down in the same go thanks to high morale. My rocks kill the enemy rock, and all that remains are 14 little dwarves. I know I should not underestimate dwarves, but without the upgrade I can fly circles around them. Also, 14 of them is not nearly enough to do anything. 3 of my halflings sacrificed their lives, but it was not in vain. Not only have I gained a firmer grasp on the area, I have also retrieved 3 artifacts from Calendra's grasp. One increases luck, another removes the penalty for shooting over walls and obstacles, the final one halves the mana cost of blessing spells. Time to head back south. But not before Falagal receives the units from Rathmont. The level up of the latter is hardly significant considering I don't plan on sending him into combat at any point. It's a new week. Let's start things off with a unit transfer. Now that that has been settled, it would be high time to reflag that gem mine. We need a steady flow of gems for Titan recruitment. We also need one just to get to a point where recruiting them becomes possible. I will end the turn now. The movement to the north has gotten me mildly concerned, but my thoughts are almost singularly on Titans and their acquisition. Since our frontier moved, it would be wise to conduct recruitment at our most recently established castle. As such, I take steps to modernize the giant's dwelling into a gold-plated marvel in the sky. The first Titan is now available at Fenton. I can't stress enough how important this is or how good it feels. The Titans are powerful, resilient and ranged. They mercilessly toss lightning bolts at their targets, obliterating them. They are imposing in their look, their movement, their sound. Having even a single one is an empowering experience. With all that being said, let's exterminate the local wildlife. Oh, the poor beasts. Even the centaurs do their part. adding insult to injury. I won't really be able to block and save the Archmagi. One of the ranks falls on the field, never to get up again. I'm sorry, my magic-wielding friend. Well, logistics! To hell with the dead mage! The situation seems idyllic. Unfortunately, this gets brutally undercut by a barbarian trespassing on our territory. To make things even worse, Jacqueline is in the northern parts of it, where only Rathmont resides. Hell forces are something I can overcome, yet elicit some additional preparation. I shall have 2 titans with me when facing her threat. Since I need Barak to catch up, let's pick up what we can. You've come upon a fight between a necromancer and a paladin. The necromancer blasts the paladin with a firebolt, bringing him to his knees. Acting quickly, you slay the evil one before the final blow. The grateful paladin gives you the fire cloak that saved him. But the necromancers are on our side, aren't they? Either way. Let's proceed with the transfer. A short one it shall be. Falagar gets the 2 promised titans and exchanges the centaurs for sprites. We shall fight alongside them again. Time to head north to stop Jacqueline. Fortunately, she is still quite a distance away from our castle. In preparation for Falagar's arrival, I recruit what little units I can. The halflings, the Archmagi, the rocks. I see no point in erecting towers, there will be no siege. The enemy heroes are too smart to just barge into one against impossible odds. 5 more halflings may not seem like much, but it's better than letting Rathmont stay mostly idle throughout this scenario. Unfortunately, this is the very thing that makes these playthroughs lack vigor. More often than not, I am taking care of some auxiliary need, either visiting a windmill, gathering tiny amounts of troops from external dwellings, picking up small piles of resources. Big and exciting battles occur once or twice in any given mission, the rest of the time is either preparation or cleanup. That's how the game is set up. I apparently gained the most gold, even though it doesn't mention by how much. This is the sort of thing that almost guarantees my success in the long run. I have the resources, all I need to do is sink them into units. Once I do so, my army will be unstoppable, so I'll be able to steamroll through the entire map. It's not at the point where both of us earn so much that the surplus becomes meaningless. Units are expensive in this game, the difference is quite pronounced. I add the 5 halflings into Falagar's forces. It's funny, you know, I really enjoy flashy moves, risky and exciting tactical maneuvers. Yet here I am, playing a turn-based strategy that rewards dotting every I, crossing every T, also dotting the lowercase j's. I like the game, don't get me wrong, it is pretty, it is engaging, it's a classic. With all that being said, I simply can neither be much more analytical nor emotional. I'm just securing my victory now. Killing Jacqueline is one of many tiny steps in that direction. This level up is meaningless, you know that. It's not like Rathmont is ever going to lead an army into a siege. Regardless of this, I still feel compelled to have a plan B to make sure I take advantage of everything I can to play safe. Time to defeat Jacqueline. 2 shooters, 1 flyer, 2 melee units. I need to get rid of the Orc Chiefs and Halflings fairly quickly, preferably by blocking them. I get blinded, I'll have to counteract this later. The sprites deal the damage. The rocks kill the halflings, block the orcs. All is well. My titans get blocked by the enemy rocks. My Archmagi remain blind. Spells cannot be cast quite yet. I attempt to kill the Archmagi, but they are no longer afflicted. Barbarians don't usually have high spell power. Let's try to get rid of the rocks. Plenty of halflings go down. A pity, but that's how it goes. I can't have 3 shooters in my army and expect every one of them to come out alive of such encounters. With melee units this would have been even worse, so don't despair. Sometimes units die, and I have grown to accept that. As long as I still win, in the end it's fine. Fortunes of war. The Medusas are dangerously close. I need to focus on them. With no way to shoot, I simply send the titans in to fight in melee. One crucial shot from the Archmagi finishes what other units have started. I lose 1 titan to a spell, 1 Archmage to the rocks. That doesn't matter. What matters is not letting Jacqueline run away, and I can only accomplish this by killing the remaining orcs before their turn. I succeed. The lightning helm explains a lot. Let's investigate this. It prevents half the damage from lightning spells. The Everhard Lava Rock makes my fire ones deal 50% more damage. Too bad I don't really have fire-based spells. Yes, I know I can always build the Mage Guild, upgrade it, teach Falagar some more spells. It makes sense, doesn't it? He does have 12 points of spell power. By the way, that yellow dot on the minimap? I don't know anymore. There's no way in hell an enemy hero snuck up into the top left corner of the map, flagged something without me noticing it, and disappeared into thin air. I know about the mine to the northeast, but the little yellow dot is to the northwest, bothering me from the very beginning, still not making any sense. Probably just a minor random glitch. Let's follow some of the more immediate concerns of mine. I have just returned to Timber Hill. As I fought Jacqueline, a new week dawned upon us. This means more units. Units my hero desperately needs. While the Archmagi are the backbone that has been keeping us alive ever since all the fights around Fenton, I should not rely entirely upon them. I think the time has also come to let the sprites retire at some distant location. I should replace them with something replenishable. I should also let Falagar learn new spells, and thus I have upgraded the Mage Guild to another level. We got Cold Ray, Steelskin, Disrupting Ray and Dragon Slayer, a varied assortment of magical incantations. If you have at all been paying attention to what has been going on the screen instead of merely listening to me explain things, you should have noticed my sudden interest in golems. This is not unrelated to what I've been talking about, quite to the contrary. They are the unit I intend to incorporate into my army instead of the sprites. This is going to be a costly endeavor since the ranks of golems have been growing since the very beginning of the scenario, but it's also an opportunity for huge amounts of sturdy underlings willing to take shots blindly. To get more golems, I am willing to trade, and trade I will. I will do so at the depot this time, hopefully somewhat redeeming myself in your critical eyes. I will of course not dare to touch the gems. I need these for the Titan recruitment, something that is getting somewhat postponed by my enthusiastic investments in golems. This is not without reason. So far I can only get the Titans from Fenton, not having upgraded the Cloud Castle at Timber Hill yet. I would love to upgrade another Cloud Castle and get even more Titans, but this would take forever. What I crave right now is information. I need to know how strong my opponents are, how much I need to be afraid of facing them. Let's visit an oracle to find out. I have more castles, more income, more artifacts, and a much stronger hero. Aside from that, I'm behind. This is reasonable since I've just traded off pretty much everything I've had. We're fine. The only thing that has me somewhat worried is the fact that the enemy's army is allegedly stronger than the one I command. With the resources at my disposal, this should be an easy gap to breach. There are exactly 6 more golems left to recruit. Oh, we've got visitors. Even more excitingly, the troublemaker wizard is to the far south, close to the castle of Vestin. Mandigal has an army that would easily fall to Falagal's, yet cannot be underestimated otherwise. Falagal is quite far away. On a positive note, all the golems now belong to him. Going back is going to take a while, so I need to prepare while I can. At worst, I need to prevent my enemy from getting his hands on my troops. They're better off dead than on the other side. Unfortunately, I don't have the resources to recruit them all. I need to pick and choose. The plan is simple. Barak runs away. Rathmund runs back. Falagal runs to help. In hindsight, staying inside the castle with Barak could have been the right choice to make. But I didn't want to risk him getting captured and losing my gold generating sack. Last turn before the inevitable siege. Let's make some final preparations. I recruit 9 rocks, trade some more, and get 2 steel golems. Let's see how this ends up working for me. There is not much one can do in such a situation. I don't even plan on venturing past the castle walls anytime soon, so my rocks may as well be blind. First things first, I need to get rid of all the shooters to let the turrets deal their damage and save the day. I take a sizable portion of the halflings down with my lightning bolt. There's still a lot of them left, along with 3 magi. A section of my wall has collapsed, meaning that my units will soon be in danger. The lightning bolt of my enemy turns out to be incredibly weak, to my surprise. Let's keep trying and hit the halflings with a lightning bolt again. 4 are left, that's manageable. The lightning bolts keep coming. I can't do anything to stop them. Even worse, the balls are in. On the bright side, the magi are down, the halflings as well. I can fly away to relative safety and try to play hide and seek with my opponents. Getting rid of all the remaining enemy troops seems next to impossible. The lightning bolts don't make things any easier. The golems fall apart. I can die here, or I can die on the other side. It won't make a difference. Overall, I have lost in my last stand. However, the castle defenders put a huge dent in the enemy forces. Never have so many units been owned so much by so few. Mandigal is chasing Barak. I have 2 reasonable options. I can try to run north with Barak and kill the nomads with Falagal to clear the way, or I can simply head south and hope to catch up before Barrack gets forced into a corner and killed. I choose the latter, as fancy as the first plan sounds. Interestingly, reflagging the mine actually cuts down my path, so I do so. As for Rathmond, he finally takes back the crystal mine, also takes the opportunity to visit the nearby leprechaun. The yellow dot persists! Where is it? What is it? It seems to be somewhere slightly above and to the left of the sawmill, but there's nothing there! Nothing! It's driving me crazy! Either way, our wizard foe takes the time to flag the nearby crystal mine, unwittingly sparing Barrack's life in the process. Time to face Mandegol and save my terrified lackey. He's got 2 titans. I don't appreciate him taking them away from me like that, but you know what they say about spilled milk. It needs to be swiftly wiped. Despite the high morale and luck, the last enemy titan lives long enough to take the life of an archmage. Smartly, I don't counterattack, since that would be horrendous overkill. Instead, I dispatch the pikemen. I kill the balls with the orcs, deal the final bit of damage with my... Damn it! Alright, enough of this. Let's fight lightning with lightning. I won't allow Mandegol to flee. Yet another artifact. Hello Barrack, how's it going? Did you miss me? Cool. Goodbye, and thanks for all the units. If you're still watching this, thanks. If you're still watching this, you almost certainly know what my next step is going to be. Yes, I need to retake Fenton. Once I do so, I will gather a huge army. Okay, maybe not huge, a decently sized one. Afterwards, I shall march onwards, kill all those who would oppose me, conquer that which needs to be conquered, the usual stuff. For now, let's focus on retaking Fenton. All of the various seemingly chaotic moves of my secondary heroes are mostly background noise. They do serve a purpose in the grand scheme of things, but there's a reason why I keep referring to them as secondary heroes. As for the siege itself, the current focal point of my plans, it should be an easy one. I have a vast selection of spells, although nothing can quite match my beloved lightning bolt. I know some of you may be critical of the fact that I have not upgraded both my mage guilds to level 5, allowing Falagal access to things like Meteor Shower, Chain Lightning, or at least Fireball, considering I have an artifact that gives me 50% more damage to all fire-based spells. I hope you don't mind me talking over this battle. Stuff is dying, but in a very straightforward way, so I don't want to insult your intelligence by telling you that I will keep shooting things until they die. Oh look, I shot yet another thing, it died, the siege is over, move along, nothing to see here. Advanced logistics, hell yes! Even over expert mysticism. Movement speed is great when you're weak, because you can run away and gather stuff up swiftly, but it's also great when you're strong, because you can catch up to heroes and push your advantage further. I guess it's no secret and no surprise that, as far as I can tell, logistics is the most beloved skill in any Heroes of Might and Magic game. They are turn-based. Logistics allows you to take less turns getting places. It's as straightforward as it can get. Speaking of pushing advantages, what I'm doing is just that. I don't need a sawmill right now, but there's no harm in flagging one, especially since I intend on staying a turn or two until I have all the units I can get. Fighting hordes of slow melee units with a mostly range-based army is the most boring thing to commentate, yet the most satisfying to experience, at least to me. It's fun to shoot stuff before it can reach you. On the other hand, there isn't much strategy involved, especially when facing neutral creeps or wandering monsters if you're a D&D fan, although these are pretty immobile by any standards. No losses, the mummies are gone, the souls will be mine, let's enter further and see what I can find. Quite a few titans left to recruit, not enough gold to get them with. The solution, you should be fairly familiar with it by this point, but let me point it out again, it's resource trading. Ooh. Having so many different resources is one of the most emblematic features of the Heroes of Might and Magic series. It's also a pain in the ass to deal with and adds very little strategic depth to the game. Whoever had the guts to do away with this nonsense in the 6th installment, thank you. If you people want me to play through the entire series in order, however, I might go ballistic at some point. This would mean literally spending hours spread out in short bursts and doing nothing more than moving sliders to get more gold for recruitment purposes. I'm currently running out of things to mention during such lulls in play, since it's a simple yet tedious process that is apparent in its goal as much as its method. What takes the cake is having to watch myself doing this over and over and trying to come up with something witty to mention, anything, just to keep you people from noticing it, just to keep pretending it's not happening all the time. On a positive note, after I send Rathmund on his merry way to do whatever the hell he is supposed to do, visit some leprechaun I guess. Either way, I choose to attack the druids, so that I can get my hands on the artifact they are guarding. They are ranged, so I need to strategize a tiny little bit. The lightning bolt kinda simplifies matters, don't you think? They also target my titans, of all targets, reducing their numbers by roughly 0? My archmages take care of the next group, and now we're left with only 2. I block one with the rocks, severely cripple the other one with the halflings. Now, I only need my titans and archmages to act again in order to finish the fight. No casualties, some experience gained. Let's get the artifact. It's being guarded by a giant. How can we possibly overcome such an obstacle? I guess that's one way of going about it. The Divine Breastplate of Protection is mine. It increases my defense by 3, meaning that my troops will receive very little damage when facing all but the most powerful of opponents. I am, finally, about to move out. Because of this, I would like to receive one final batch of reinforcements. Experience has taught me that once I get going, the chances of receiving more troops from even the most immediately sent out secondary heroes approach 0. I can only afford a single additional titan. To get even this much, I needed to actually trade away some gems. Fair enough, that's more than enough of a difference. As I hand the titan over, I notice the abundance of artifacts in Falagar's possession. I cannot collect anymore, meaning that whenever I get another one after a battle, it will automatically get discarded. That's hardly something I want. I'd rather hand over the items I have little use for, in exchange for a shot at getting something better later on. Speaking of better things, there's a gold mine up ahead. No quantity of elementals will stop me from claiming it. It's absurdly anthropocentric that the manifestations of raw elemental power take roughly humanoid forms. Then again, I guess 2L is human. I get kinda overwhelmed by possibilities here. In the end, I decide to let the golems have a swing at the puffy gas people to the top. Following this line of thinking, I don't annihilate the nearest group with the halflings, instead going for the most numerous one. They kept hitting L, and yet they were not missing. Amazing, isn't it? Of course, I send Barak to flag stuff, since this way he can still be of some use instead of staying at Fenton. If I ever choose to send reinforcements from there, I can simply recruit a new hero. I hesitate. Should I be more thorough or more aggressive? I decide to venture further, not linger any longer. I'm slowly making my way to the east. Look! Jacqueline's here, it's about time we've gotten rid of her. Of course, bullying leprechauns and windmill owners doesn't cease in the north. If you wish, you can imagine it going on indefinitely, even surpassing the boundaries of this particular mission. Let's flag the sulfur mine as well. Just because I have enough doesn't mean I shouldn't take away from others so that I can let it go to waste while they suffer in their impoverishment, right? Good thing I'm doing this for military reasons, otherwise it would have been heinous economic injustice. Well, are you, Jacqueline? You can't hide for— Oh, there you are! Let me handle your artifacts and relieve your creatures from their duties. I'm sure you have more important things to take care of than wandering around these grassy fields and doing the wizard's bidding. Shooters first. Rocks die to the counterattack. Dwarves are down. Now time to get rid of the golems. Sorry, there wasn't exactly much to remark upon there. As I've said, it's all downhill, as it has been for quite a while. Logistics an expert is a splendid addition to my hero's power, inasmuch as it allows me to swiftly jump through the remaining hoops. As a gesture of mostly conspicuous consumption, I upgrade the second cloud castle. Hooray! I could get titans from both of them. Theoretically. It is important to note that I like theoretically receiving titans. Once I do so, they theoretically throw lightning bolts and theoretically kill enemy creatures. They are very useful, in a detached, imaginary way. Oh, I'm sorry once again, I didn't mean to speak over this meaningful, exciting and drawn-out encounter. I shall treat it with all due respect. The fight with Merini is currently over. She fled. There's a reason she came from the northeast. The reason is called Troy. It shall fall into my grasp as soon as I'm done ordering underlings about and ending my turn. Let the siege begin! Let's take a look at the opposing forces, shall we? There's a few mages, a few bows, over a dozen golems, and a respectable number of halflings. Since I trust my spells slightly less than I do my titanic forces, I kill the magi with the lightning, leaving the halflings to my creatures. Not a single titan goes down to the towers, thanks in part to my defense stat. Let's not get overly excited and attack the boss, we have bigger fish to fry. More like canned sardines, really, except without the sardines inside. One rock perishes due to my recklessness, but the overall picture remains the same. We now control yet another castle. You might be thinking to yourselves, great, let's explore it, perhaps there are more units to recruit, more spells to learn inside. I say screw it, I'm attacking the Medusas. My reasoning at the time had something to do with Timberhill, a short path and Titan reinforcements, but come on, does that make any sense to you at this point? Besides, I've already mentioned a while ago that I love killing Medusas for some inexplicable reason. The cries of pain somehow elicit satisfaction rather than remorse in my heart. Perhaps it's the deeply ingrained fear of snakes. It's allegedly an irremovable part of everyone's genetic makeup to detest the poor creatures, which sounds very reasonable until you meet someone who owns a pet snake and try to explain to him that he's either not a human being or has suffered tremendous brain damage, possibly congenital one. Visiting the observation tower seems to be the most useful result of this attack. I have a look around, seemingly without giving it too much thought. Yet I conclude one very likely thing. The southeast seems to be where I should go next. I suspect there is nothing of interest to the northeast, considering that there is, for example, an unflagged gold mine there. I might be wrong about this, but the point is moot since I am, in the end, right about it. In other words, I don't need to go there to beat this scenario, therefore there is no need to go there. You can't bring artifacts, resources, heroes, castles, armies, spells or conquered territory between levels, so not visiting that spot has no bearing on my fate whatsoever. This is somewhat sad since I enjoy exploring areas, finding every last bit of stuff there is to find. In this game, especially in this mission, such behavior would be quite excessive, so I refrain from it. The path leading east is blocked by wolves. I decide to engage them in combat. Wolves are quite strong opponents, they move swiftly and they attack ferociously, striking twice. I'll try to keep them at bay. To protect the rocks, which are within reach of the middle pack of the wolves, I annihilate said pack with the Archmagi. At this point I begin to wonder whether I should leave the top pack to the golems. In the end I conclude that by doing so and attacking the middle stack, I would endanger the rocks, so I take the more careful approach. As the wolves strike at the titans instead of the Archmagi, I stop worrying entirely, merely watching as the inevitable counterattack zaps the poor canines. Time to visit the gazebo and head further east. Doing so, I finally reach the border of the map, which prompts me to turn south. The horde of elves seems to be my next target. I briefly explored my choices back at Troy. Concluding that the situation is hopeless, I go back to Timberhill, recruit some units, and, since it's day 7, promise myself to send out reinforcements the very next day. The elves wisely choose not to interfere with my plans, clearing the path before my troops. Before I proceed, let's replenish all our mana. Since I wish to go south, I need to face the nomads. The nomads do not wish to face me. We go our separate ways. I get Baroque Wisdom and Expert because why the hell not? I also gather some nearby resources for identical reasons. Back at Timberhill, Rathmond toils in great haste, recruiting a great army to serve Falgar in his conquests. He pays no heed to the casts, his mind firmly set on delivering the troops. He leaves before dusk, sparing no time, making few stops. Let's boost our stats. The standing stones further increase my magical prowess. But that's pitiful compared to the Xanadu, which boosts all my primary attributes. To the south of us, we see a wizard occupying a necromancer town. We need to put a stop to such insolence. It appears that the slight detour needed to acquire the treasure chest has delayed our attack by a day. No matter, we have time aplenty. In his hubris, the mage left the town unattended. Perhaps he simply fled before our might? Whatever the reason, our task is a simple one. Let's blind the Archmagi to take care of them when we please. The halflings are no longer an issue, and the giants are slow, which convinces me to target the rocks. They attack the Titans. A huge mistake. We take care of them easily thanks to the high morale within our ranks. Time to annihilate the giants. Excellent. Now for our final target, the Archmage. One rock falls victim to the counterattack. 2 more fall shortly thereafter. These are the only losses we have incurred here. Victory is mine.
Congratulations! You have simultaneously weakened our enemies, the wizards, and strengthened our friends, the necromancers. The Necromancers Guild sends its undying gratitude and wishes to inform you that one of their best practitioners will always be available to serve you for as long as you serve me. And now I must direct you to an urgent military matter involving the Lorendale Valley Barons. 2 have openly declared support for my rebel brother, a crime that I cannot tolerate. You must generate an army from scratch using the castles of 2 of my loyal supporters. Do not fail me.
General, this is Roland, your rightful king. I have a proposal for you. Come and fight on my side. You and I both know that you are wrong to work for my evil brother. It must gnaw at your conscience to know that you serve an unjust usurper, and for what reward? Money? I can give you money too. I offer not just riches, but honor, duty, and purpose. Come join me and serve the cause of justice. Now what say you?